and on guard for thee.
Let the doors be open. Que l'on ouvre les portes. Statements by members. Déclaration de député. L'honorable député de Hull Aylmer.
Merci, Monsieur le Président. Last Saturday, the parliamentary community lost one of its most beloved members. For more than 50 years, Nicole Baudin worked in the House of Commons, 20 of them with the office of the Speaker, serving Speakers Milliken, Scheer, Regan, and our current Speaker. Nicole a été une amie et collègue bien.
Nicole was a much appreciated friend and colleague, a woman who was full of energy, generosity, and a love of life. She loved Elvis, the Sens, and bingo. Thanks to her example, she showed us how to live fully. Our lives will be slightly more drab without her. On behalf of her many admirers, I'd like to convey my deepest condolences to Nicole's family, her husband Guy, her son Guy Jr., her grandchildren Gabrielle and Alexandre, and her adored great-grandson, Jace. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
Et merci à Nicole.
We'd all like to thank Nicole.
Manning.
Hey. Mr. Speaker, I wish to thank the people of Edmonton Manning for once again putting their trust in me as their representative in Ottawa. It is a privilege to work on their behalf. During the election campaign, Edmonton Manning residents asked me why the government wasn't addressing the rising cost of living, especially given the impact on families and seniors. Edmontonians wants us as parliamentarians to turn our attention to meeting the basic economic needs of Canadians. They don't want politicians using the COVID-19 pandemic for political gain. They are tired of arguments over who is or isn't vaccinated. They want parliamentarians to unite to fight this pandemic, to move beyond personalities and to get Canada's back on track. Let's all in this House listen to their words and act on them. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Hey, hey. The honourable member for Etobicoke North.
Mr. Speaker, I wish colleagues in this House, all who work in the parliamentary precinct, the people of Etobicoke North and right across the country, a very Merry Christmas, Happy Kwanzaa, and a Happy New Year. This time of year is full of joy, light, and traditions, and an opportunity to recognize all that is good in our lives and give thanks for all that unites us. It's a time to be compassionate, kind, and show people that they matter and that they are loved and appreciated. Thank you to healthcare workers across Canada for their life-saving service and care, and especially during these difficult pandemic years. We can honor their tireless work by following public health measures, getting vaccinated, wearing a mask, and limiting gatherings. To our families and friends in Etobicoke North, know I am thinking of you and sending my best wishes for a joyous and safe holiday season.
L'honorable député de Pierre-Boucher, les Patriotes Verts.
The honourable member for Pierre-Boucher, les Patriotes Verts. Mr. Speaker, in Varennes, in New France, Marguerite Youville was born on October 15, 1701. The 250th anniversary of her death occurred in 2021. Despite a difficult childhood, unhappy marriage, and financial problems, this widow never lacked a good heart and solidarity towards her peers. She was a woman of action and conviction. In 1737, she founded the Sisters of Charity, also called the Grey Sisters, in order to take care of widows and orphans. 10 years later, her talents as a leader and administrator were recognized when she was put in charge of the General Hospital of Montreal. And in 1765, she purchased the Seigneurie de Châteauguay, which contributed to the growth of the colony. Today, we can still see many traces of her work in the region. Her remains are at the Sainte Anne de Varennes Basilique, and she was canonized in 1990. And so I would invite everyone to come visit her permanent exposition in the Marguerite Youville Sanctuary.
Vaudreuil.
The honourable member for Vaudreuil-Soulanges.
This month, on December 29, 1951, my great-grandmother, Isabel Guirado, and her husband Antonio arrived at Pier 21 with their 4 daughters, Rosita, Maria, Isabel, and Carmen. They came here with a bag or two of their most precious belongings that survived their journey, fleeing persecution, longing for freedom and opportunity, in search of a better life. Après avoir passé 2 ans en tant que réfugié en France,
After 2 years as refugees in France to escape Franco's dictatorship in Spain, they got onto a cargo ship, the Anna Selen, and went to Canada. Canada has been our safe harbor for 70 years.
gracias por su sacrificio y por haberse embarcado en ese difícil viaje. Si hoy estoy aquí en la Casa de Comunes, es gracias a ustedes. Merci, Monsieur le Président.
The honourable member for Cypress Hills Grasslands.
Mr. Speaker, I rise in the House today on behalf of thousands of workers across Canada, from members of our military to first responders, nurses to educators to janitorial staff who have or are facing the loss of their jobs as a result of vaccine mandates. These are our neighbors, our colleagues, our fellow citizens, many who have sacrificed and given so much to build up our country, and many who have served us throughout the worst of this pandemic. Yet now, in the blink of an eye, these same individuals that we once praised as heroes are being treated as second-class citizens for a decision that every Canadian should have the freedom to make for themselves. And to add insult to injury, this government is denying them EI, money that they have long contributed to and is rightfully theirs. Mr. Speaker, it's a disgrace to see how this Liberal government is intent on stripping Canadians of their dignity and sending a rift of division from coast to coast. To all the Canadians who have lost their jobs, and to all the constituents who have written out, I hear you, and I will continue to stand for you and for this country, the true North, strong and free.
The honourable member for Newmarket Aurora.
Mr. Speaker, the holiday spirit is in the air. For the past 16 years, Diane and Brian Harrison of Aurora have encouraged people to send holiday cards to members of the Canadian Armed Forces. And this year, their initiative generated over 7,000 cards to be delivered to all Canadian bases and Sunnybrook Hospital. I'm proud of the Newmarket Aurora residents for choosing compassion during the holiday season, for shopping locally, for stepping up to support and volunteer for local food banks, coat and toy drives, and for helping neighbors in need. Our community's ongoing kindness is heartwarming and inspires me every day, during the holiday seasons and every day all year long. From my family to yours, I wish Newmarket Aurora residents, my colleagues in the House, and their loved ones happy holidays and all the best in the new year.
L'honorable député de Madawaska-Restigouche.
The honourable member for Madawaska-Restigouche.
This season, I'd like to take this moment to thank my constituents for placing their trust in me for a third mandate. After 3 elections and 6 years as MP of this beautiful Madawaska-Restigouche, I must also acknowledge the effort of many persons. D'abord à tous les bénévoles.
First of all of our riding association volunteers and donors. I'd like to thank my loyal staff, Carole Leblanc, Michel Daigle, and Gaëtan Saucier. Thank you for your professionalism. I'd like to thank my parents, Thibert and Pierrette. Thank you so much for all your advice. Advice that I still find very useful today. I'd like to thank my spouse, Michel, and our children, Dominique, Chloé, and Olivier. Thank you for your unconditional support, and thank you for being the ingredients and the spices in the very best recipe ever, my family.
Restigouche and colleagues here today, Merry Christmas and Happy New Year, joyeuses fêtes et bonne année à tous.
The honourable member for Calgary, Forest Lawn.
Mr. Speaker, in Calgary, the Hope Mission has been giving back to our city since 2012. In my riding of Calgary Forest Lawn, Hope Mission is a partner within the community to care for our neighbours in need. The mission puts on weekly kids and youth programs providing meals, encouragement, and support from adult members and mentors. They prepare and serve meals to those in need, as well as providing school lunches to over 600 kids every week. This holiday season is an opportunity to give back to our communities, just like Hope Mission. Let's do what we can to support our friends and neighbours in need. Whether it's donating what you can to charity or giving your time at shelters, food banks, and community centres, every little bit helps. We are stronger together, and because of the sacrifice and service of Canadians from coast to coast, our country remains the best place to live. I hope that this holiday season brings you and your family hope, joy, and good tidings. Merry Christmas Happy holidays and a happy new year. Thank you.
The honourable member for Mississauga, Erin Mills.
Mr. Speaker, the winter holidays are precious moments that we spend with family, with faith and community. It's a season of giving, and residents in my riding of Mississauga, Erin Mills, are some of the most generous people in all of our Canada. They have been raising donations for food, for toys, for warm clothing, for our neighbours who need a little bit of extra help during this time of year. Before we break for the holiday, I'd like to recognize Eden Food for Change, the Mississauga Food Bank, Driven by Co, Women That Give, Boys and Girls Club of Peel, Erin Mills Youth Centre, Peel Children's Aid Foundation, and more, and the countless volunteers that have given their time and their efforts to support our community. To the residents of Mississauga, Erin Mills, my colleagues across this House, and Canadians from coast to coast, I wish you a very Merry Christmas, a happy holiday, and a joyous New Year. And to our Premier of Ontario, sir, all I want for Christmas is childcare for Ontarians. Thank you.
The honourable member for Kamloops, Thompson, Caribou.
Mr. Speaker, before I commence my remarks, I was informed of some sad news, and that is the passing of Ken Greenall of 100 Mile House in my riding, and I just wish to pass my condolences on to his family, and may eternal light shine upon him. Mr. Speaker, on behalf of the people of Kamloops, Thompson, Caribou, I rise to recognize the extraordinary career of sportscaster Earl Seitz of Kamloops. Earl began his broadcasting career a mere 54 years ago, many years before some in this house were born. Earl has spent 48 years delivering sports news to the people of Kamloops, Thompson, Caribou. I have fond memories as a child growing up in North Kamloops, and part of our daily ritual, Mr. Speaker, was to watch the news with Earl Seitz and Stu Blakely on CFJC TV7, Take a Look. Things have changed since then, but Earl's characteristic professionalism and presence have not. Please join me in saluting Earl's legendary career and wishing him the best retirement at 74 years young. Thank you.
The honourable member for Haldimand, Norfolk.
Mr. Speaker, I rise today for the first time as a representative of Haldimand, Norfolk. I want to express my gratitude to the people of Haldimand, Norfolk, who elected me. Mr. Speaker, it is on their behalf that I raise this very important issue of rural broadband internet. COVID has changed the way we do business and the way we learn. During COVID, rural children were unable to attend classes online due to inconsistent high-speed internet and the lack of access to internet altogether. Small businesses couldn't connect with their clients. Our agricultural sector couldn't reach their customers. I call on this government to make sure that every Canadian has the opportunity to succeed by having access to the basic necessities like high-speed internet. I promise to use my voice to make sure that the people of Haldimand, Norfolk are not left behind. Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, and Happy New Year.
The honourable member for Davenport.
Mr. Speaker, it's my pleasure to rise in the House today to highlight the incredible work being done by HoC Immigrant Services in my riding of Davenport. Over the past few months, they've been helping to settle 1,600 Afghan refugees. In addition to helping them find housing, employment, language training, and mental health supports, HoC has been matching Afghan families with Canadian-Afghan war veterans from across the Greater Toronto Area. I want to thank Executive Director Mario Kalla and Director of Refugee Services Nawal Al-Basaidi for their leadership, and a huge thanks to their entire team for their around-the-clock support and tireless work. Mario recently relayed to me that one of the refugees told him that one of his greatest joys in coming here is watching his children play freely outside. He explained that in Kabul, children are not allowed outdoors for fear of kidnapping. As we approach the holiday season and face a fifth wave of COVID, let's remind ourselves how blessed we are to live in a prosperous, free, and democratic country, one where we have the resources and privilege to continue to welcome refugees who help make Canada one of the best countries in the world to live. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The honourable member for Churchill, Kiwatnook, Aski.
Mr. Speaker, on December 9th, we lost a friend, a colleague, a fighter for our North, MLA Danielle Adams. Our North and many across our country have been shocked and saddened over such a tragic loss. Danielle was my friend. We knew each other since high school. She was my colleague. We worked together for almost 10 years. Danielle was a feminist, an activist, a committed New Democrat, a proud Northerner. Danielle was one of our own. As an MLA and as a person, Danielle believed in our region. She believed in people. She believed in building a better future for all of us. She left us on a drive we all take on her way to Winnipeg to represent us, the job she was elected to do. Her life was tragically cut short. Our thoughts are with Danielle's partner, Bill, her children, Nick and Joe, her whole family, and all of her friends. Words cannot express the loss we feel. Rest in power, Danielle.
L'honorable député de Mirabel.
The honourable member for Mirabel. Mr. Speaker, Jean Bouchard, the former mayor of Mirabel, passed away on December 9th in a palliative care home surrounded by his loved ones. Throughout the last 30 years, Jean Bouchard gave over his life to the town that he loved so much as a firefighter, then a building inspector, then a municipal councillor, and finally as mayor from 2013 to 2021. He was a fighter. As he said recently, throughout his years in politics, he always focused on improving the quality of life of people in Mirabel. It was always what helped him make the decisions and policies throughout his mandate. On behalf of the people of Mirabel and on behalf of the Bloc Québécois, I would offer my most sincere condolences to Frédéric and Gabrielle, his 2 children, as well as his 4 grandchildren and his spouse Céline, who left us with these words. Jean gave us great lessons of humility, resilience, and courage. Thank you.
The honourable member for Barrie Innisfil.
Mr. Speaker, it's always an honor to rise in this chamber to thank those in Barrie Innisfil who do so much to help others in our community. This Christmas season, I want to thank the many individuals, charities, and community organizations who help those in need. It's been a tough year on local charities, so please consider them in your gift giving. Many business owners and their families in Barrie Innisfil support these organizations, but it's been a difficult 21 months on local businesses, and that's why I'm asking residents to shop local and support local this Christmas. Canada's economic recovery will be led by our businesses, the people they employ, the products and services they produce in every sector and every region of our country. Business owners are our neighbors, our friends, community leaders, and provide employment for millions of Canadians. Let's support business by shopping local this Christmas season. And finally, Mr. Speaker, on behalf of my wife Leanne, our children Jeff, Court, Matt, Mitch, and of course our little Miss Molly, our golden retriever, I wish everyone in Barrie Innisfil a Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, and a healthy, safe, and prosperous New Year.
The honourable member for Mount Royal.
'Twas the last sitting week before Christmas, and because of Omicron, I'm playing to a half-empty house. So instead of hearing riotous laughter, I'm afraid it may be quiet as a mouse. We just had an election, spending and effort galore. Yet when it ended, the House of Commons was the same as before. Nobody got what they wanted. For the Libs, hopes of a majority dashed. And for the opposition, its chances of forming government trashed. Each party wondering just what to change in order to ensure that its dreams come into range. The Conservative caucus, with its leader True Blue, asked to meet Santa in person to hear what he thought they should do. Unfortunately, the meeting was refused due to one complication. For in-person meetings, Santa requires proof of vaccination. I'm a very old man, said St. Nick, and COVID, I fear. After all, I was already 500 when Shakespeare wrote King Lear. But by email to the leader, Mr. Claus made 3 points. The far right of your caucus, just do not coddle. Outhouse videos are nothing but twaddle. And please don't try to be a Men's Health model. For the Bloc, Santa's advice was very clear. If the party ever finds itself in dire straits, speak to the network consortium and demand more English debates. The Greens tried to reach Santa, but they completely failed. As the ship carrying their leader headed north, their entire caucus and membership bailed. For the PM, Chris Kringle gave sage counsel. Please find someone to manage your travel, both location and date, or your government can unravel. And finally, the NDP, who did not need Santa's advice. Why try to form government when 25 seats would suffice? À la veille du grand congé.
As we head to the new year, I wish everyone the best, good health and happiness, and let's all come back here with zest.
Oral questions. Question orale, the Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Mr. Speaker, Canadians are paying more for food, more for gas, more for housing. And the Liberals either don't know or they don't really care. Housing is up 25%. At the same time, more and more Canadian families are vulnerable to interest rate hikes. The cost of living crisis is at its worst in 30 years. Why is the Prime Minister trying to fix his budget problem by creating a household budget problem for Canadians?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, yesterday's economic and fiscal update provided Canadians with a transparent look at our finances, as well as our plans to keep Canadians safe, particularly in regards to Omicron, to make life more affordable, and to ensure our economic recovery leaves no one behind. Thanks to the choices we made and the hard work of Canadians, Canada has recovered 106% of the jobs we lost at the peak of the pandemic, compared to 83% in the U.S. We know there are challenges ahead and the future remains uncertain, but one thing Canadians can always count on, we will have their backs.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
The Prime Minister has their back. He's given them 30 years, the highest inflation rate since the Bank of Canada has been targeting inflation, Mr. Speaker. Gas is up 43% alone. Wow. The Prime Minister likes to blame global supply chains. He doesn't seem to realize he's responsible for road, rail, and pipelines between Fort McMurray and Vancouver, Toronto and Montreal. At least he would be responsible, Mr. Speaker, if he could ever get a pipeline built in this country. How much longer is the Prime Minister going to ignore the cost of living crisis hitting Canadian families?
Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, this global pandemic has been tough on individuals, but it's also been tough on economies. That's why it's led to global inflation, and that's why we will continue to keep our promise of having people's backs. That's what we indicated in the economic and fiscal update yesterday. That's what we're doing by moving forward on historic supports for Canadians, whether it's through tackling the housing crisis, moving forward on historic childcare agreements with 9 provinces and 3 territories, or whether we're continuing to move forward in supporting Canadians in their day-to-day lives. We will be there for Canadians. That's what yesterday's fiscal update showed.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Mr. Speaker, the family grocery bill is going to be $1,000 higher next year for Canadian families, for seniors on fixed income. The Prime Minister has their back. He's failing them. And if they want to dine out, Mr. Speaker, it's just as bad. Even that great Newfoundland institution, Mary Brown's, is raising the price of the Big Mary Monday by 25% because of rising food costs. How many Canadian families will have to pick between heating and eating this winter because the Prime Minister doesn't think about monetary policy?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, from the beginning of this pandemic, we have been focused on supporting Canadians. Even as Conservatives kept saying we were spending too much to support families, too much to support small businesses, too much to support Canadians through this health crisis, we knew that the smart thing to do to help fight this health crisis was to support Canadians, but it's also the smart thing to do to support our economy. By investing upfront in making sure Canadians could make it through, we've come back stronger and better than before. There are many challenges. We're going to continue to stand up for the rising cost of living and support Canadians, but we will be there for them.
Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Mr. Speaker, each grocery shop
each bag of groceries costs more, and Canadians have to check that there hasn't been a mistake on their bill. No, there's been no mistake. It's just inflation. The fact is that this affects all Canadian families. When will the government fix this problem and help families make ends meet? The Right Honourable Prime Minister. Mr. Speaker, the world inflation crisis is directly due to the world health crisis, the pandemic. The best thing we can do to help families to get through this economic crisis is to finally get rid of COVID-19. That's why we're encouraging everyone to get vaccinated, to get their booster shot, to get their kids vaccinated, and to be careful this winter to avoid large gatherings and travel. We have to keep doing everything we can as Canadians to keep people safe, and that's how we will finally reach better days. The Honourable Leader of the Opposition. Mr. Speaker, in Canada, young people have always had the opportunity to have a prosperous future. But under this government, the dream for young workers of becoming homeowners simply no longer exists. Their dream has vanished. People are concerned about their future. Why is this government dashing the hopes of young people to have a first affordable home? The Right Honourable Prime Minister. Mr. Speaker, we recognize how difficult it is for people to purchase a first home for more and more Canadians, including young people. That's why we set up a first home ownership access program, which helps young people buy their first home with all of the associated costs and their mortgages. We are there with specific programs to help young people to fight this housing crisis, unlike the Conservatives, whose only plan to fight the housing crisis was to provide a tax credit to major apartment building owners. That's why we're there for young people. We're there for them. The Honourable Member for Belleuil-Chambly. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The Canadian Ambassador to the United Nations, Bob Rae, stated that Bill 21, the secularism bill, was profoundly discriminatory. This was a democratically passed piece of legislation, and it enjoys broad consensus and broad support in Quebec. The ambassador had a duty to show some self-restraint. Will the Prime Minister recall his ambassador immediately? The Right Honourable Prime Minister. Mr. Speaker, as I have often said, I am profoundly in disagreement with Bill 21. In a free society, a free and democratic society, a person shouldn't lose their job because of their religion. That's our position as a government, and that's our position as a party. We will continue to be on the side of Quebecers who they themselves are upset and disappointed that Fatima Anderi lost her job because of her religion. And we support and will support Quebecers who want to defend their rights before the courts over this piece of legislation they find unfair. The Honourable Member. Mr. Speaker, the Prime Minister is condoning Quebec bashing and defamation of totally legitimate legislation. It's as legitimate as the Prime Minister's own opinion, and it's not for the Canadian ambassador to the UN to insult the Quebec nation. Am I to understand that the Prime Minister was consulted on this and he agrees with what his ambassador has stated? The Right Honourable Prime Minister. Quebecers, we are a people who stand up for individual rights, freedom of expression, gender equality, and freedom of conscience. We defend those things in Quebec. We defend freedom of religion in Quebec. That's why there are so many Quebecers who are surprised and disappointed to see this young teacher, Fatima Anderi, losing her job because she's a Muslim. Mr. Speaker, it's not acceptable to see this happen in Canada. That's what I've been saying for years, and that is what we will keep saying here on this side of the House. The Honourable Member for Burnaby South.
Mr. Speaker, Canadians are deeply concerned about the Omicron variant and how it's impacting them and their families. The federal government has a role to play in fighting back against this variant. So we've got 3 clear steps that the federal government can take. Will they help accelerate access to a booster shot, make sure Canadians have access to free rapid testing, and invest in our healthcare system to hire more healthcare workers to deal with the crisis? Will the Prime Minister commit to these 3 concrete steps to fight the variant?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, faced with the rise of Omicron variant this coming holiday season, Canadians are frustrated and exhausted. We understand that. It is a real challenge to see rising cases, but Canadians know what to do. We need to keep safe. We need to keep our loved ones safe. We need to keep our public health systems from getting overwhelmed. That's why getting your booster shots, getting kids vaccinated is the most important thing we can do. Second, avoiding non-essential travel. We've just increased our travel advisories. We're recommending that Canadians stay home at Christmas and stay safe. We will continue to be there with rapid tests. We will continue to be there to support the provinces.
The Honourable Member for Burnaby South.
Prime Minister is telling Canadians what they can do. I'm telling the Prime Minister what he can do. On est dans une crise.
We are in a crisis with the Omicron virus, the Omicron variant. We are calling for 3 steps to be taken: accelerated access to vaccinations, accelerated access to free rapid tests, and invest more money in healthcare to hire more frontline healthcare workers. Will the Prime Minister take those steps to help people and confront this variant? The Right Honourable Prime Minister. Mr. Speaker, we're already doing those 3 things that the Leader of the NDP has mentioned. And as a matter of fact, with the holidays approaching, we all have to do everything we can to stay safe. That means going to get our booster shots as quickly as possible. We have enough booster shots for everyone in Canada, and we encourage people to get those boosters. We also encourage people to get their kids vaccinated. That's important to protect our communities. We'll also be there with rapid tests and to support healthcare systems. We will be there to keep Canadians healthy because we've done so much this year. We're going to keep up the good job.
Mr. Speaker, yesterday's high tax, high deficit report was more of the same recycled promises that have failed for 6 years. Housing prices are at a 30-year high. Gas prices, rent, groceries, all up. The Liberal solution? Send their bill to struggling working Canadians, families, and businesses. So my question for the Prime Minister is this. Has he ever struggled to pay a bill, maybe a rent bill, a credit card bill, a grocery bill? Can he relate in any way to what everyday Canadians are going through right now?
Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, the very first thing our government did back in 2015 was to raise taxes on the wealthiest 1% and lower them on the middle class, a measure Conservatives voted against. We have continued to be there for Canadians every step of the way, including with historic investments in housing, including with measures that are fighting this Omicron variant and the current pandemic. What the Conservatives don't realize is the best way to help Canadians and the best way to get our economy back to normal is to end this virus, this pandemic once and for all. That, Mr. Speaker, is what we on this side of the House are focused on.
The member for Portage-Lisker.
Well, what this government, what this Prime Minister continually does is raise taxes on Canadians. January 1st, he's going to be raising taxes again on struggling small businesses. But the Liberals and their elite friends are doing just fine with this just inflation. But working Canadians are struggling to put food on the table and even dream of buying their own home. The Prime Minister has been in office for 6 years, and the Canadian dream has never been further out of reach than it is right now. So when is the Prime Minister going to get serious about the finances and the economics of this country, pay attention to monetary policy, and think about struggling working Canadians?
Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, every step of the way over the past 6 years, we've been there for small and medium-sized businesses. We lowered the small business tax rate. We've been there to support small businesses through this historic pandemic, to support them, and they have responded positively. We've seen our economy bouncing back faster than many economies around the world because we were there for our small businesses. But what the Conservatives are talking about when they talk about payroll taxes is the fact that we are securing Canadians' retirements. We've made changes to CPP to make sure that Canadians can retire better. The Conservatives simply aren't there for our seniors.
I remember having a little puppy who would look a certain direction. If I talked to him or look at him, I'd be looking at them, and they would just concentrate and figure I couldn't see them or hear them. I just want to remind people about my puppy.
The Honourable Member for Bellechasse-les-Etchemins-Lévis. Mr. Speaker, the Leader of the Opposition set this out clearly. Inflation is harmful. The dream of home ownership is now out of reach for those under 40, with prices rising every month. The Prime Minister really doesn't care about these concerns of young people. What does he have to say to the young families who are being shut out of the housing market, discouraged, and having to abandon their dream? The Right Honourable Prime Minister. Mr. Speaker, for years we've been investing more and more in young people because we know how important it is for them to make their dreams come true. That's why we set up a program to facilitate access to first home ownership so that young people can afford a home more quickly and afford their mortgages. We're also going to keep boosting the economy by doing things the Conservatives never talk about, and that is getting through this pandemic once and for all. That's how we're going to get through the economic crisis, by getting over and done with this virus, and that's why we're continuing to work on that. The Honourable Member for Bellechasse-les-Etchemins-Lévis. Mr. Speaker, I'm not the one who said it. The Canadian Real Estate Association released its worrisome numbers today for 2021, a 25% increase in house prices. 25%. How can a young middle-class family hope to become homeowners when the average price of a house in Canada is now $720,000? In Quebec, it's $445,000. The Prime Minister keeps saying this is a global problem, but it's affecting young people here and now. What's he going to do to fix the problem? What does he have to say to them in concrete terms? The Right Honourable Prime Minister. Mr. Speaker, we presented an ambitious platform for housing to help young people and the less young access property here in Canada, with thousands of dollars for construction for the municipalities, to help owners, to reduce costs associated with transactions. We have a concrete plan, but unfortunately the Conservatives only had one plan, and that was to give a tax credit to owners selling their property. That's not what's going to help young people, referred to by the member. We are the ones who are there for young people.
Mr. Speaker, the rising cost of living is hitting Manitoba families hard. This year alone, gas prices for home heating went up 30%. Fuel for our cars went up a staggering 40%. The average national home price, we found out today, is now $750,000. And next year, Canadian families will be paying an additional $1,000 on their annual grocery bill. And none of this was really addressed in yesterday's important fiscal update, Mr. Speaker. So what's it going to take for these Liberals to realize the cost of living crisis Canadians face? Will they have to lose their homes, or just the Prime Minister losing his?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
The best thing we can do to grow the economy and help Canadians through these difficult times is put an end to this pandemic. That is why we're continuing to move forward with vaccinations, with encouraging Canadians to get their boosters, with support for kids to get themselves vaccinated, with public health measures that are going to support small businesses and keep our economy moving forward. We know that there is always more to do, and that's what we're doing, but we've done it over the years in terms of supporting families, seniors, and youth, whether it's increases to the CCB, $10 a day childcare, boosts in the GIS, more supports for students, more affordable housing. I could go on.
The Honourable Member for Kildonan St. Paul.
You know, Mr. Speaker, the Prime Minister can make all the excuses he wants, but the fact remains that he spent more money than all of his predecessors combined, and yet his record is declining investment and competitiveness, a lackluster economic growth record, record inflation, and housing prices that are taking away the dreams from half of Canadians' young people who may never own a home, Mr. Speaker. And to top it off, the Prime Minister is raising taxes on Canadians January 1st. Why are the Liberals so out of touch with the financial challenges facing Canadian families, Mr. Speaker.
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, the first thing we did was raise taxes on the wealthiest 1% so we could lower them for the middle class, and Conservative politicians voted against that, Mr. Speaker. Throughout this pandemic, we had Canadians' backs with historic supports for families, for seniors, for...
I'm going to interrupt the Right Honourable Prime Minister. I'm having a hard time hearing his answer. I'm not sure what's going on. It started off really well, but I don't know. And again, people staring one way and thinking I can't hear them. The Right Honourable Prime Minister, maybe take it from the top so we can hear the full answer.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Every step of the way, this government has been there for Canadians, whether it's by bringing in the Canada Child Benefit, reducing taxes for the middle class by raising them on the wealthiest 1%, moving forward historic investments in infrastructure, in housing, in transportation, all things, Mr. Speaker, that the Conservative Party chose to vote against. When we put forward a historic housing plan to support Canadians through number of billions of dollars worth of initiatives, they put forward a plan to give tax breaks to wealthy landlords selling their buildings. That's not how you support Canadians, Mr. Speaker. This government is doing that.
The Honourable Member for Beloeil-Chambly. Mr. Speaker, the teacher the Prime Minister wants to portray as a victim said herself that it wasn't a religious symbol, it was a political symbol as a challenge to Bill 21. She was hired after Bill 21 was enacted, and the Prime Minister is applauding the Liberal ambassador to the UN for having bashed Quebec. Tell me, Mr. Speaker, does the Prime Minister intend to fund or finance the court challenge to Bill 21? The Honourable Prime Minister. Mr. Speaker, we can see that the Bloc is in an awkward position because thousands of Quebecers are asking real questions about whether or not in a free society a person should lose their job because of their religion. So the Bloc has to do what they always do, and that is to try to make this a federal-provincial squabble and to attack the government in Ottawa, instead of listening to Quebecers who have real concerns about freedom of expression and freedom of conscience, and the freedom to practice one's religion in a free society. I know Quebecers are asking themselves these questions. Why isn't the Bloc? The Honourable Member. Mr. Speaker, tell me why I'm tempted to propose to the Prime Minister that he hold a referendum in Quebec. Does he have the courage, after all this, not to challenge Bill 21? Does he not have the courage to challenge Bill 21 in Quebec? Is he afraid of Quebec public opinion, which is largely in favor of Quebec secularism? The Right Honourable Prime Minister. Mr. Speaker, Quebec and Canada are already secular societies. We don't ask questions about a police officer's religion or a judge's religion. We know that any religion that anyone practices in their private lives should not prevent them from holding a professional position and playing an important role in society. That's what we're defending here. And that's why Quebecers are currently asking themselves questions about how it is in a free society that you can legislate freedom of expression, freedom of conscience, and how a person can lose their job because they're a Muslim.
Mr. Speaker, after canceling the Keystone Pipeline and challenging Line 5 in the United States, the United States finds itself in the same boat that Canada is in, soaring fuel prices as winter sets in. To deal with this lack of fuel and inflation, Biden has begged human rights-abusing oil cartel countries to increase their oil production. Will the Prime Minister admit that his delays, obstruction, and lack of ability to get energy infrastructure built in Canada has led to massive fuel inflation and has Canadians paying a lot for energy from climate-destroying countries?
Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, after years of a Conservative government that was focused on drill, baby, drill, but unable to get pipelines built, we actually are the government that is getting TMX built to access new markets for our oil for our oil resources. At the same time, Mr. Speaker, we recognize that we need to reduce our carbon emissions and invest in the oil workers in Alberta and elsewhere so we can transform our energy mix to be more lower carbon, to reach net zero, and to support good jobs. The Conservative Party is stuck in their failed past while we look to the future.
The honourable member for Calgary Nose Hill.
Well, most Canadians don't have the luxury of the Prime Minister's privileged futures. Nobody's going to magically buy them an electric vehicle in the next couple of weeks. Nobody's going to magically build them an LRT in the next couple of weeks. They are struggling to pay their fuel costs now. And this Prime Minister has failed to provide them with low-cost carbon alternatives, and his lack of action on energy infrastructure has driven up prices. The Americans are releasing oil from their strategic energy reserve in order to bring prices down. We don't have one here. Can the Prime Minister tell us what Canada's plan is to lower fuel costs?
Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, our plan from the beginning of this pandemic has been to have Canadians' backs now and into the future. And that's exactly what we're doing, not only by supporting them now with initiatives that are making life more affordable, but as well as recognizing that the direction our world is going in is towards lower carbon emissions, and therefore our investments in clean technology, our investments in renewables, our investment in fighting climate change is what's going to guarantee a better present and future for all Canadians.
Honourable member for Calgary Nose Hill.
What the Prime Minister just said is that he has spent Canada into oblivion to make our prices higher for consumers. That's insane. Come on. Right now, Canadians are struggling to pay for gas. They don't have the ability to magically buy an electric car. We need to get fuel prices under control. Last year, he voted against a bill to reduce fuel price costs for farmers. Can the Prime Minister tell Canadians what he is going to materially do after failing to build pipelines to lower fuel costs?
Right, Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, after a decade of Conservative failure on pipelines, we've actually invested in the Trans Mountain pipeline expansion, and we're taking the profits from that pipeline to invest in the green transformation of our economy.
I'm going to have to interrupt the Right Honourable Prime Minister. I'm having a hard time hearing his answer. Right Honourable Prime Minister.
It is unbelievable to hear the Conservatives continuing to double down in their anti-climate change agenda, their oil and gas lobbying efforts to try and hold Canadians in the past instead of recognizing that supporting them right now with a price on pollution that puts more money in the pockets of Canadians than before and moves forward into the future is the right.
The honourable member for Calgary Nose Hill.
Somebody in Papineau who's struggling to pay for a tank of gas is not an oil and gas lobbyist. It's one of his constituents. And he owes it to them to not only provide low-carbon alternatives that he's failed to provide, but also to reduce their fuel costs. He has failed on all these fronts. He's failed to buy energy infrastructure. He's perfectly fine to have that tank of gas come in from Saudi Arabia, where women aren't seen as people. He should have a plan that sees both Canadian energy, lower the cost of fuel, and ensure that we have climate action. And he's failed on both fronts. Why?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Speaker, what the Conservatives continue to fail to understand is you don't have a plan for the future of our economy if you don't have a plan for the future of our environment to fight climate change. And that is exactly what we have led on, including with a price on pollution that returns more money to the average Canadian family than the price costs them in a given year. On top of that, we're moving forward with real supports for families and for communities as we challenge the rising price of goods. That is what we're continuing to do. And as we finish with this pandemic for good, we need to keep focused on the things that matter for Canadians.
The honourable member for Burnaby South.
Mr. Speaker, there is a housing crisis. The cost of housing has increased by almost 26% over a year. It's impossible to find affordable housing. Despite all that, The Prime Minister has done nothing in the economic update to resolve the crisis. Here's my question. Why is the Prime Minister refusing to deal with the housing crisis? The Right Honourable Prime Minister. Mr. Speaker, we said clearly that this government is giving a priority to affordable housing and access to housing. We will help municipalities build more housing, better housing, and more quickly, thanks to programs like the Construction Acceleration Program. We'll help families buy their first home through a first home buyer's incentive, and a new rent-to-own program will reduce closing costs for new buyers. The economic update set out our plan to put in place a national tax with regard to real estate where there is a non-resident, non-Canadian owner. The Honourable Member for Burnaby South.
Well, here's the thing. Those are great measures, but the Prime Minister had an opportunity to put them in place, to put them forward. Not only are Canadians dealing with the Omicron variant, they're dealing with inflation that's driving up the cost of living. They're dealing with a housing crisis which makes it impossible to find a home they can afford. The Prime Minister promised to take some actions. We're saying take those actions. So will the Prime Minister fulfill his own promises to ban blind bidding? Will the Prime Minister put a tax on foreign buyers? And will the Prime Minister finally put a tax on property flippers? And why didn't he already?
Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, yesterday's update includes our plan to implement a national tax on non-resident, non-Canadian owned residential real estate in Canada. We are moving forward on our commitments, including helping families buy their first home sooner with a more flexible first-time home buyers incentive, a new rent-to-own program, and by reducing closing costs. We're helping municipalities build more and better homes faster with programs like the Housing Accelerator Funds. We are continuing to support Canadians because we promised to have their backs, and that's exactly what we're doing.
The Honourable Member for Malpeque.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, my riding of Malpeque is home to many seniors who are on fixed incomes and who are concerned about their economic security in these uncertain times. Unfortunately, many low-income seniors who rely on guaranteed income supplements saw their benefits roll back if they collected the Canada Emergency Response Benefit. Seniors I have spoken to now understand this was an unintended effect of the unprecedented urgent support programs that government rolled out. But I'm hoping the Prime Minister will be able to update the House and seniors in my riding on how we plan to address this issue and ensure that seniors have the support they need moving forward. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I want to thank the member from Malpeque for his question and his hard work. Yesterday's economic and fiscal update demonstrated to Canadians our government's plan to finish the fight against COVID-19 and ensure our economic recovery leaves no one behind. To do exactly that, we will be investing in a one-time payment to these affected seniors to alleviate financial hardship for GIS recipients who received CERB in 2020. Mr. Speaker, we will always be there for seniors, and seniors know they can count on this Liberal government.
The Honourable Member for Carleton.
Asked about the $120,000 year-over-year increase in housing prices, the top economist for the Real Estate Association said, "This is the biggest gain of all time. And certainly in dollars, it is far larger than anything that has ever happened. But why? Can't blame supply chains. Land doesn't have supply chains. Can't blame COVID. Almost all the houses in Canada were built before COVID happened. In fact, the things that drive house prices, wages, immigration, and GDP, are all down. So if the underlying means with which to buy housing are all down, why is it that real estate prices are up by record amounts?
Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, we've been clear. Housing affordability and home ownership are priorities for this government. We will help municipalities build more and better homes faster with programs like the Housing Accelerator Fund. We'll also help families buy their first home sooner with a more flexible first-time home buyers incentive and a new rent-to-own program, and by reducing housing closing costs. Yesterday's update includes our plan to implement a national tax on non-resident, non-Canadian-owned residential real estate in Canada, and we will keep being there to have Canadians' backs as they deal with the rising cost of housing.
The member for Carleton.
The question is, why did housing prices go up so much with wages, GDP, and immigration down, and with all of the housing supply being right here in Canada, not linked to a so-called global supply chain? What is causing this eye-popping record increase in the cost of owning a house? Well, it just so happens that prices started rising right when this government began printing $400 billion of new cash into the financial system, $200 billion of which went into increased mortgage lending, with the investor class getting the preponderance of that new money. Why did this Prime Minister give so much to the have-yachts and take from the have-nots?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Canadians deserves a safe and affordable place to call home. That's why in 2017, we moved forward with the National Housing Strategy. Since 2015, our government has supported the creation of nearly 100,000 new units, repaired over 300,000 more across all housing programs, and helped more families get the housing they need. Supporting families through programs like the Rapid Housing Initiative, the First-Time Homebuyers Incentive, and the Canada Housing Benefit are continuing to help Canadians, but those are all programs that the Conservative Party voted against.
Member for Carleton.
Because they all failed. The proof is in the pudding. Housing prices now are higher than ever before. $720,000 for the average house, not a fancy mansion like the Prime Minister inherited or the one taxpayers pay to house him in. An average house costs $1 million in Canada's biggest city. And this is broadening the gap between rich and poor. He can't blame the rest of the world for the problem that is happening here at home. So why exactly does Canada have the world's second biggest housing bubble?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
While Conservatives continue to focus personal attacks on me, we're going to stay focused on Canadians. We will continue to invest in housing. We will continue to be there for solutions for Canadians. Indeed, we'll take no lessons from Conservatives when it comes to housing, because the Harper government played no leadership role on housing, and their plan in the last election on housing was to give tax breaks to wealthy landlords selling their buildings. That made no sense.
The Honourable Member for Carleton.
No, what makes sense to him is to give cheap debt to investors to buy their buildings, because investors have doubled the amount they've been able to borrow on the cheap because of this Prime Minister's money printing. I'm sorry that the Prime Minister took my question personally, but the 30-year-olds who will be celebrating Christmas in their parents' home are taking that personally as well. They can't afford a house for themselves because this Prime Minister's policies have inflated those costs out of existence. So, simple question. Does Canada have a housing bubble, or is it just inflation?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, young people in Canada, indeed all Canadians, have faced real challenges over these past 19 months with the COVID pandemic, with extra pressures on so many different things. And that's why, as a government, we chose to be there for them. We chose to invest in young Canadians, invest in seniors, invest in workers, support small businesses, things that the Conservative Party continues to say we shouldn't have done, that we invested too much, that we spent too much in supporting Canadians through this pandemic. Well, the fact is, not only was it right to support Canadians through this health crisis, it was the right thing to do to make sure our economy comes back as strong as possible, as it is.
The Honourable Member for Beloeil-Chambly. Mr. Speaker, it doesn't seem to shock the Prime Minister, for example, that I can't sit in this House with a mask with the Bloc Québécois logo on it. And is that a restriction on my fundamental liberty? Another issue is this teacher did not lose her job. He can repeat these untruths, and that changes nothing. I would say let's make things clear. Why wouldn't we organize, we're not asking them to do it, but a referendum? Why wouldn't there be a referendum on Bill 21, and then we would see the Right Honourable Prime Minister. My goodness, the Bloc Québécois wants to cause quarrels between Ottawa and the provinces. That's why they exist. No matter what the subject is, they attack the bad federal government. I'm sorry, but this federal government has been here for Quebecers in the last 20 months. With the long-term care homes, with $8 out of $10 of support coming directly from the federal government, with billions of dollars for the healthcare system. We have been here for Quebecers, and perhaps that's why the Bloc is frustrated. The Honourable Member for Belleuil-Chambly. Quarrel, 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 Mr. Speaker. Please, Jean Charest is speaking through him. Bob Rae is insulting Quebec, insulting the Québécois nation, insulting the National Assembly of Quebec without dealing with his own people. In the meantime, the Prime Minister is playing it smart here. What is he going to say about the Uyghurs? Are the same values of humanity apply? What will the Prime Minister say when Indigenous people don't have drinking water? What does the Prime Minister say about Raif Badawi? The Right Honourable Prime Minister. This quarrel by the Bloc is to avoid having to deal with reality. That is that there are many Quebecers that are not represented by the Bloc Québécois who are seriously questioning whether they live in a free society and it should cost somebody their job because of their religion. This is something that is shocking many people. It's a concern that I share as a Quebecer and that I said from the very beginning with regard to Bill 21. It concerns me that a free society tells people what to wear or not wear when it comes to their religion. The Honourable Member for Richmond, Arthabaska. Mr. Speaker, in yesterday's economic statement, their spending wasn't missing, but one word was, and that word was inflation. But this doesn't seem to bother the Prime Minister, unlike the 60% of Canadian families who are barely making ends meet to put food on the table for their kids. The reality is that the cost of living has never been as high in Canada as it is now over the past 30 years. When will the Prime Minister tackle this increase, which is directly affecting families, seniors, and others? The Right Honourable Prime Minister. The best way to grow our economy and to make life more affordable for people is to put an end to COVID-19, in particular with Omicron. The Conservative Party doesn't seem to have understood that inflation caused by the global pandemic is being seen across the world, and Canadians are dealing with an increase in prices. As we said, during the pandemic, we will continue to support Canadians with concrete measures to support them throughout the crisis. The Honourable Member for Richmond, Arthabaska. Here's some figures for you and the Prime Minister. Gas is up by 43%, and it's going to cost over $1,000 more for Canadian families to feed themselves next year. But what is strange, this seems to suit the Prime Minister. Why is that? Well, because if it costs more for Canadians, what do people do? They pay more taxes. And what does this do? This gives more money to the Prime Minister, who can then have more money to spend. It's costing people a lot of money. They can't make ends meet. They can't stick to their family budget. When will he concretely tackle this increase in the cost of living? The Right Honourable Prime Minister. Mr. Speaker, since the beginning of the pandemic, we made a promise to Canadians. That promise was that we would be there to support them throughout the crisis, and that is exactly what we have done, despite the fact that the Conservative Party continues to say that we did too much for seniors, too much for students, too much for small businesses. We have been there to support Canadians, not because it's the way to get through the pandemic, which should remain our priority, but because this will help our economy and our jobs to recover more quickly, and that is why we are here for Canadians. The Honourable Member for Richmond, Arthabaska. Mr. Speaker, inflation is good only for this Prime Minister. It's not good for Canadian families. It's quite clear. There are workers working hard to earn a living to feed their families in order to buy a home, to put gas in their gas tanks. The more people spend, the more it costs them because the taxes have to be paid as well. And those taxes go to the government, which has spent and spent and spent, and that has driven the cost of living up. All we're asking is for concrete measures. That's what people want. When will they get to work to the Right Honourable Prime Minister? Mr. Speaker, it's with concrete measures for months and months that we have been there to support Canadians, and we will continue to be there. We have already done it, and we are continuing to do it to make the lives of families, seniors, and the middle class more affordable with measures like what we have already done by increasing the Canadian Child Benefit, by creating childcare services and childcare spots at $10 a day for all families across the country, by increasing the guaranteed income supplement for the most vulnerable seniors, by offering more assistance to students and affordable housing. Mr. Speaker, I could go on, but I'll stop there.
The honourable member for Halifax West.
Monsieur le Président.
Mr. Speaker, yesterday the Minister of Finance gave an economic update. That economic update shared our plan to ensure Canada's economic recovery. My constituents in Halifax West would like a solid, green, and inclusive recovery. At the same time, we know that this new variant reminds us that the fight against COVID is not over. Can the Prime Minister share with the House the measures in the economic update that will ensure that people in Halifax West and across the country can put an end to COVID-19? The Right Honourable Prime Minister, I thank the member for Halifax West for that question and for her hard work. The best way to ensure a strong economic recovery for all Canadians is to put an end to COVID-19. Our economic update proposes a plan to ensure that boosters and rapid tests are free for all Canadians, to support workers and businesses through support programs such as the local lockdown program, and by spending $2 billion to purchase therapeutics and treatments to fight COVID. We will be there for Canadians at each step of the way.
The Liberal Agriculture Minister recently said, it's not like we can act a law to lower the price of food. Well, I've got a message for the Prime Minister. It's Liberal policies that have increased the price of everything, including food. And a new Liberal policy to put a cap on fertilizer use will do exactly that, increase the price of food. Not to mention this policy will be devastating. It will bankrupt Canadian farm families who will no longer be able to feed the world, and it will increase the price of groceries. So why is this Prime Minister intent on putting a cap on crop production while at the same time increasing the price of food for Canadians?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, Conservatives don't seem to recognize that this inflation is a result of the COVID pandemic and of the disruptions around the world to our economy because of it. We will continue to be there to support Canadians, and the first thing we can do, and the thing we recommend so strongly to our Conservative politician friends, is to make sure people are getting vaccinated, to make sure you get out and get that third booster.
I have to apologize to the Right Honourable Prime Minister. The member for Foothills asked a question. He wants to hear the answer. I just want everyone to keep quiet so that he can hear it. The Honourable member for, the Right Honourable Prime Minister, he has about 10 seconds left.
Mr. Speaker, the best way to support Canadians from one end of this country to the other, whether they're workers or farmers or teachers or young people, is to invest in ending this pandemic for good. That's what we're doing.
The Honourable Member for Foothills.
Canadian farm families bear the responsibility of feeding the world. It is a responsibility and a burden they carry with pride. But this Liberal policy to put a cap on fertilizer use will set farming back decades. If Canadians think the price of food at the grocery store is high now, you just wait. When Canadian farmers can't use innovative, sustainable, and environmentally friendly practices to feed Canadians, it will exacerbate the cost of living crisis. Why is this Prime Minister ignoring farmers, ignoring science? Why is he listening to eco-activists who want to make food unaffordable for Canadians?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, we have been there for farmers, and we will continue to be, because they put food on our table, they support Canadians, and they are the heart of our rural communities. We've continued to be there to support them through the difficult months of this pandemic, and we have been in the past. Farmers have told me how frustrated they were by the Harper government's shutdown of the PFRA, which is why we're bringing back a Canadian Water Agency, why we're continuing to support them in every possible way as we move towards a lower carbon future. We want farm families to be strong well into the future. That's why, unlike the Conservatives, we're standing up for a cleaner environment and a better economic future for all.
The honourable member for Foothills.
Mr. Speaker, the Prime Minister dismissed the concerns of Canadians, and he belittled my province by not taking fuel prices seriously and comments like, dig, baby, dig. This is coming from a Prime Minister whose $1 million trust fund came from a chain of gas stations. So I would ask the Prime Minister, will he sign a giving pledge and give away his Energy Wealth Trust Fund?
I just want to remind the honourable members in the House that we're here to debate policies, not attack people. And the Right Honourable Prime Minister, if he wants to answer that.
Mr. Speaker, I have to admit, it is surprising to see the extent to which, even during a global pandemic, even during a time where Canadians are faced increased costs of living, are worried about Omicron variant, these Conservatives find new ways to stoop low on personal attacks. Mr. Speaker, let them continue to focus on me. I can handle it. What we're going to focus on is being there for Canadians every step of the way. We will be there to support Canadians through the rising cost of living. We will be there to support them through this Omicron variant. We will be there to have Canadians' backs regardless of the noise produced by the Conservative Party of Canada.
The honourable member for St. John Rothsay.
Mr. Speaker, this pandemic has exposed what parents in my riding of St. John Rothsay have long known. Without access to affordable childcare, parents, mostly mothers, can't work. I am proud that earlier this week, our government signed another agreement, this time with my province of New Brunswick, to provide an accessible, affordable, and high-quality $10 a day childcare to the people of St. John Rothsay. Can the Prime Minister update this House on how a $10 a day childcare will change the lives of Canadian families? Thank you.
Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I'd like to thank the outstanding member for St. John's Rothsay for his question and for his advocacy for families in his riding. For Canadian families, childcare is not a luxury, it's a priority. Our agreement with New Brunswick will improve childcare for all children in the province, no matter where they live. By 2026, fees in New Brunswick will average $10 a day rather than the current $35 a day. We will ensure children have the best start in life while improving access to high-quality, affordable, flexible, and inclusive early learning and childcare. And I will remind the Conservative Party that are shouting at me right now that they moved against that in the last election, and we got it done for New Brunswickers.
Honourable member for Burnaby South.
In this very difficult time, the Liberal government has cut the help that the most vulnerable seniors in our country rely on. We have received numerous calls from seniors across this country who are telling us they cannot afford to pay for groceries. They can't afford to pay their rent and are worried they're going to lose their homes. Many of them already have. The response from the Liberal government is a vague promise for a one-time payment sometime in the future. That is not acceptable. That is not a solution. When will the Prime Minister understand how serious this is and fix it?
Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, from the very beginning, our government's priority has been to be there for the most vulnerable, including our seniors. That's why we worked hard to strengthen income security for seniors, including with increases to the GIS. We know seniors accessed income support because they needed it during the crisis. Well, they shouldn't be penalized for that now. That's why we're making a major investment through a one-time payment for seniors whose benefits have been affected. We will always be there for seniors across this country.
The honourable member for Kitchener Centre.
Mr. Speaker, Canadians with disabilities are disproportionately living in poverty across the country. It doesn't have to be this way. Last summer's election call put a halt to Bill C-35, which would have created a Canada Disability Benefit, a guaranteed basic income for Canadians with a disability. And while I was glad to see the Liberals promise to move forward with this benefit in their most recent election platform, it wasn't in the throne speech or in yesterday's economic update. When will the government do what they said they would do, and are they willing to fast-track the design and implementation of the Canada Disability Benefit so that our neighbours living in poverty don't have to struggle through another 3 years?
Right, Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, Canadians living with a disability face higher levels of poverty and marginalization than just about any other group in Canada. That's why we've committed to moving forward with a Canada Disability Benefit. We continue to work with stakeholders and community members hand in hand. We need to make sure that nothing about them happens without them. That's why we're working in partnership with them to do that, and we look forward to having the member opposite support as we move forward on that. And I will take my remaining seconds, Mr. Speaker, to wish to everyone a very, very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year and Happy Holidays, Mr.
Speaker. The honourable member for Regina Louvain is rising on a point of order.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. And I'll take this time to say that the Government of Saskatchewan and the Legislature has unanimously passed a motion that I hope this House passes right now. Mr. Speaker, there have been consultations with the Minister of Justice and House leaders, and I believe you will receive the consent of the House for the following. That notwithstanding any standing order, special order, or usual practice of the House, the motion in my name, the member for Regina Louvain, listed on the order paper under business of supply, with respect to the amending of the Saskatchewan Act in the Constitution, will be deemed adopted. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
All those opposed to the honourable member moving the motion will please say nay.
Nay.
Nay. I'm afraid we don't have unanimous consent on that. Order. I think that was a game. Order. I heard game. Tabling of documents. Dépôt de projet de loi émanant du...
Introduction of government bills.
Point of order, the honourable member. Yes.
Again, we'll find unanimous consent. I'm sure the member for Winnipeg Centre spoke out of turn and meant to agree with the motion. He's the only one who said no.
I'm sorry, the honourable member for Kingston and the Islands.
This member knows better than that, Mr. Speaker. In terms of this, you cannot ask for a unanimous consent motion after you've already entertained one.
Already gone. Introduction of government bills. Déclaration de ministre.
Statements by ministers.
Reports from interparliamentary delegations. Presenting reports from committees. The honourable member for Egmont. Order.